And we are in business.
Cool.
So Project Warlock. As far as I'm aware, this is a game that has been available for some time on GOG.
Yeah.
Just recently started getting some ads on Steam for it, so thought we'd check it out.
Picked it up for like $4.
Exactly, which is, yeah, that's also the thing that made me look at it, and I was like, maybe.
That's the best advertisement.
Yeah, when it's less than the cost of a single coffee, I'm down for it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let's get started.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say right off the bat that this main character that I'm looking at here, he's got some sort of magical staff in one hand and a firearm in the other, and he's got this this leather trench coat look going on. That combined with his whole hairdo and his whole look looks very similar to a one Harry Dresden, which is well, we'll talk about that as topics come up, but I'm very down with this aesthetic. I feel as though some inspiration may have been drawn. Now, have you taken a look at this at all yet?
I have not played it.
So this is going to be new for the both of us.
Go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get psyched.
Let's get started. The music is already good.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Oh man, yeah, that guy doesn't look too happy.
Alright.
Looking nice and crunchy, but in a good way, a good kind of crunch. We've got some Doom and we got some Quake going on. Now, one thing that I like a lot, and this is just from having read the store page for this, is from what I understand, there are 5 themed zones, and within these zones there are 60 levels, and there is no mention whatsoever of randomly generated content or like systematically created anything. These are level-ass levels, which I am down for. And there seems to be a lot of them. Something equally impressive that, actually, I would say something maybe even more impressive than this is I did a little bit of digging on this game before we started, and I found out that this was created more or less by one dude who started in high school. Like, the majority of this game was apparently created from him as a high schooler, which is super radical. But yeah, you've got your Doom, you've got your Quake, and you've got your Wolfenstein, which I'm always a fan of.
Oh. Ooh, that's cool.
You get that hatchet. Ooh, I like the look of that hatchet. I'm gonna say right off the bat, like, presentation-wise, I'm very into what's going on here. It reminds me a little bit of, I'm gonna say the blockiness kind of, and like the amount of detail on the walls kind of reminds me of a System Shock thing going on.
Yeah.
And if ever there was a game that would pique my interest, I would love a System Shock with like an occult type thing going on. who knows? Maybe the further we get into this, we can scratch some of that itch.
We'll see.
In the proud tradition of BJ Blazkowicz, we've got a very angry looking Warlock there in the bottom left. All shifty eyed. He knows something's up. It's like it's a cool mix between like your lo-fi kind of old computer style artwork and some really clear influence from like comic book, which I like a lot. Just looking at those last couple of pictures that popped up, I'm reminded of like not your Spider-Man and your Batman, but some of the weirder issues of one-off characters that never went anywhere that I had as a kid. And those are my favorite kinds of comics. I remember one in particular. There was this dude who was called, I don't know if he might have been the Immortal Warrior or the Eternal Warrior or something like that. And it was just this super buff, angry looking, like Nathan Explosion looking guy who was apparently a caveman or something who had been, or like a gladiator who had been brought forward into modern day Los Angeles. And he was just...
And that's fucking awesome.
Right? Like living day to day, solving problems. I like that a lot.
Increase that a little bit.
And straight up, the music is just E1M1, as if the Doom wasn't doomy enough.
No, you can always have more Doom.
Only this E1M1 isn't like clearly a riff on Metallica, so I appreciate that too. Yeah, crank up that field of view. Always a fan of more field of view and less head bobbing.
But with these types of games, I always feel like you should have some.
Yeah.
It's very much the style.
Yeah, I would say so. I will say, I think this game is gonna be hell on like compression rates for things like
Oh,
YouTube.
absolutely.
Like even looking at it now, I'm getting more or less a direct feed, and it's like, it's there. It's kind of struggling a little bit, but it's there. Oh, that is a living skeleton. You see that?
Where?
The skeletons that are strung up. They've got lights going on in their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
They're not dead.
They ain't done yet.
I'm not done with you yet. Can you, like, cut them down or anything like that?
No.
Oof. That's quite a bit of a radius there. That succubus just exploded into ludicrous gibbs. I tell you what, too. I recently picked up some of the Star Wars Doom clones that exist. The Dark Forces games. And this kind of makes me want to play that because, like, yeah, just super blocky corridors, super, leading your shots. I like it a lot. Looks like your staff is more of the techno mage variety.
And it's the only ranged weapon aside from dynamite that I have.
Cast your lightning bolt. Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Just like the layers and layers of grime on display here is something else.
It's phenomenal.
It's like the ground is caked in grossness. The viscera and the gore and like mold, it's all here. This is the kind of floor where like one step would be spongy from the amount of grossness, and the next would be like crunching and crusty because of the driedness of everything.
And the bones. Don't forget the bones.
Can't forget the bones. This is
Yeah,
quite
fuck outta here.
literally a bone zone.
Alright.
Eat your heart out, Metroid. So yeah, these are actually going by pretty quickly too, which makes the idea of 60 levels a bit more, I guess,
Reasonable.
Yeah, reasonable, easy to understand. It's got a decent speed to it, got a decent pace. Really, any one of these games where you just rush on in and kill a bunch of demons, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy playing this a lot.
I think so. This is like one of those games that would show up on like CSI Miami or something. You know, where they made a video game?
Mm-hmm.
Which is always like a ringing endorsement, I think. I like my video games to feel like video games.
Like video game-ass video games.
Like you need the red key card in order to progress. Ooh. Yeah, they don't, they certainly don't skimp on the level of gib.
What would be the point if you did? Like, that's part of the whole appeal, if you ask me.
I feel like I'm looking at a particularly hairy fight, like an old school fight in TF2.
Yeah?
Ooh, wow. Tell you one thing, the compression does not like that light at all. Harry reaches for his pentacle and shines an unseen light into the darkness of the cavern. So yeah, this might be as good a time as any to talk a little bit more about what I was saying at the beginning, which is
Dresden Files.
Dresden Files, right? It's a relatively well-known series of novels that has been, and comic books, and there's a TV show at one point. The TV show wasn't very good and didn't last very long, but
Which is a shame.
it is a shame. I feel like, well, okay, so it's in the public consciousness a little bit right now because I am currently 15 books into the series, and I'm nearing. There's a planned 20 total, right? And then after the 20, there's like this big apocalypse trilogy that's planned to kind of end the series as a whole. But this last book that's just come out has taken literally years. Like, it's one of those Game of Thrones situations where You have 8 books that all come out within like a year or two of each other, and then one of them takes 2 years, and then the next one takes 4 years. But they're releasing 2 of them this year. And Dresden Files is all about basically this dude, well, I think the quote that they use on the box for the first couple of books is like, think Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Philip Marlowe. You've got your hard-boiled, grizzled, like, Chicago PI, who also happens to be like a badass spell-slinging wizard. And it's equal parts like city noir and just blasting apart demons and vampires with your fireballs and everything. It's a fun series. And it's like door stopper length. Like, the last book that I read is, on average, it takes about 10.5 to 11 hours to get through. And this one that I'm currently on is no different. And I can only imagine that the page count's gonna go up from here. But, I mean, if you are into the idea of, like, a grizzled, haggard spellcaster with a big staff in one hand, flinging, like, rune-enchanted spells and, like, a revolver in the other, that's what those books are all about. I would say check them out. If you're into, like, vampire wars and horrible Cthulhu monsters tearing apart the seams of reality, or, I don't know, all of that going on, like, alongside a bank heist, check it out. Literally, the one that I just started is, the basic conceit is like, hey, we're gonna do an Ocean's 11 style bank heist. And he's like, okay, well, why do you need me for this? And they're like, well, so the person that we're knocking over, we're basically stealing from Hades' vault down in the underworld. So we need a wizard for that. And it's equal parts, like, over-the-top demon-killing action, and, you know, your city adventure, your urban fantasy. And, like, taking a look at the Steam page store for this, I was like, oh, yep, no, the dude on the cover is pretty much just Dresden. The only difference...
I also appreciate the fact that you have a workshop between levels. Because not only does it indicate a progression system, but also, like, you get the impression that this is an undertaking. And this dude knows what he's doing. And he's been doing it for a while.
He is a consummate professional.
Mm-hmm. Big fan of that. Also, time travel appears to be involved.
And that's one of my personal favorites. I'm always down for some time travel. Yeah, how about that? You've got your overarching goals split up by these, like, mission segments, I guess. Go stop the bad guy. Go stop the ritual. And get psyched.
And there's your crossbow.
I always appreciate a good crossbow.
Well, you'll like this one, because the shots pierce.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Took down 2 in one go that time. I'm a big fan of piercing damage. Pretty much anywhere it appears. I appreciate anything and everything that can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Crossbows are, like, right up there with, I guess, swords and revolvers as, like, unwieldy tools of kind of unparalleled fictional destruction. Like,
Well said.
properly putting the boots to somebody with a crossbow is a fucking pain and a half, because actually, like, actively reloading a crossbow bolt, it not only takes time, but you gotta be, like, strong to do it, unless it's one of those automated bits.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a pretty significant amount of pressure to actually pull back on, like, an old school crossbow, which, I mean, this one clearly isn't, but at the same time, you get the impression that this dude could do it.
Oh, easily. And on the same token, I want to say that I'm a big fan of repeating crossbows. They're awesome. And this is one of them. And what do you know? It's awesome.
It's true. Getting flashbacks to hanging around in the depths. Did you ever get that far in Dark Souls?
Nah.
That is, I want to say that the depths might be when the game really starts its turn into what it really is. It's, more or less right after the Undead Bird, and then kind of getting through that area and that boss. Because the depths lead into Blighttown. Blighttown is like the true tilt into, okay, this is Dark Souls. Depths is also like claustrophobic and gross as hell, which is this. It also houses one of my favorite, not only one of my favorite boss designs ever, but one of my favorite dragons ever, in the Gaping Dragon. The dragon who is...
Oh!
Oh no, what happened? Oh no, I see it! Oh!
That's one life down. Got two left.
Not quite the cat-like 9 lives situation, but we'll take what we got.
You've got like a third of a cat. It'll have to do.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for saying that if we are a third of a cat, we're probably the paws, because that's where... We're probably the paws and the jaws.
Because that's where all the pain comes from.
That's right. Ooh, look at that guy. Now, that guy looks like a warlock for sure. I guess like a priest or a shaman, you might say, too. I'm gonna say a warlock. Because warlocks are typically wizards that are not good guys.
True. Oh, look at that!
Did you get him?
Found me a secret.
Are you winning, son? I appreciate the reflection in the water, too.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I hesitate to say this is maybe water. It could be, but it's probably not.
It was water at one point, it's not anymore.
At least part of it is water-like. It is instead what I might refer to as totally grody to the max.
It's Schwarbage.
It is indeed Schwarbage. Guide me with a spoon. Do you have like an ammo counter for your dynamite?
Yep. I only have 2 left. I've kind of been abusing it. But what can I say? It's really strong.
if you have access to dynamite,
You should use it at every opportunity.
yeah, it's hard not to abuse. And at this point, you're just dropping them like it's nothing. Although, it looks like it is doing the Doom thing of, like, start an encounter and then also spawn occasional guys behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Your arena shooter mentality.
The thing I'm enjoying about the crossbow is that you can reclaim the ammo.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
So it's difficult to run out.
What constitutes your ability to run out?
Not finding the shots?
So, I mean, if you're meticulous about it, then you won't run out.
Yep. But meticulous ain't exactly the name of the game.
Well,
Nah, the name of the game is Project Warlock.
yes.
I would
Currently-
say that that's antithetical to meticulous, but that's me.
Well, I will say that for anybody who's looking at this and thinking, oh, hey, this looks cool, now would probably be a good time to check it out. Oop. Yep, we lost the stream there for a second, but we're back. I would say that now is the time to check it out, because if you're interested, it is currently less than $5.
It's still on sale, huh?
Pretty sure.
That would have been with the summer sale, I thought. But hey, what do I know?
Oh no, I mean, like, it's on sale, like, right now.
Hmm.
Or at least it was when we started the stream. It was on a flash sale, anyway. That's where
The third consecutive hit with an axe on an enemy will have a massive damage increase. Who needs guns when you have cold, hard steel?
You don't need a jetpack. All you need is hate. You're gonna run out of ammo long before you're going to be able to break an axe.
It's true.
Wizards and warlocks do not typically have any, like, enhanced preternatural strength. That is almost always going to be, like, if they're not on the level of a human, they are occasionally weaker than humans, on average.
Because they're dependent on their spells to deal damage.
Unless you're Harry Dresden.
Unless you're Harry Dresden, or whoever the fuck this guy is. The Project Warlock. Let's go to the cemetery.
Yeah, I've had dates that started with that.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Some of them were nice, some of them weren't. Let's see which one this is gonna be.
I'd say we're off to a rollicking good start, as they say.
I would say so too. I've been saying that a lot recently. I said that yesterday with our Pokemon Let's Play.
Is it really a Let's Play anymore? I don't know if people say that anymore. Oh, baby.
The only people who say it now are people with, like, 14 different colors in their hair and somehow an even more colorful gaming chair. And they almost always just say, hey, welcome back to our part 84 Let's Play of Minecraft.
Also, get a load of this fucking shotgun. This thing kicks ass.
Yeah, I like it. It looks very straightforward. No frills.
It's everything it needs to be and nothing more. What the hell is hurting me? Stop that.
Hey man, I ask myself the same thing every morning. Did you say that, or did he?
What?
I heard in, like, the very corner of my presence, I heard, son of a...
No, that wasn't me.
I think your guy might talk to himself.
Yeah? And hey, I relate.
I mean,
Because you're just a figment of my imagination.
this is true. Which is why I can do anything. Except things that are helpful.
I mean, that pretty much solidifies you as a figment of my imagination. Because
Okay.
my psyche is inherently unhelpful.
I like to think of myself as a tricky ghost on your right and left shoulder.
Yeah?
The king
Help
of
me. Both of my
riddles.
shoulder angels are this guy.
We're both wearing shirts that say I'm with stupid, and they're both pointing in opposite directions. On a somewhat related topic, creatures of the She and the lands of Fairy are, at least in the Dresden Files, often seen as creatures that are predisposed to be as, and like they don't have any opportunity not to be, but they're predisposed to be as unhelpful and as roundabout as possible. They literally cannot tell a lie, but in return for not being able to physically tell a lie, they cannot give straight answers to pretty much anything, and they have to be obscure and roundabout if you're ever having a conversation with them, which is something that I relate to very much so.
Same. I have an unhealthy obsession with riddles.
Riddles, you say?
I do.
You know what? That's gonna come in handy because I'm generally pretty bad at them. I'm more of the type of person who, like, you give them a problem or a riddle, and I have no idea how to solve it, but I somehow break the surrounding contraption.
Yeah?
That's usually the way I tend to go about things, at least.
Somebody asks you, what is something that walks on four legs in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 in the evening? And you respond by saying, how is something that walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 3 in the evening? And then you just kind of invalidate the whole riddle.
If Sarah has 2 apples and she gives 1 to Johnny, why does she not simply eat Johnny as the larger human being with more fruit? Because then you get the fruit and you get the protein, and you don't have to share anymore.
True.
If a train is leaving a station at Chicago at 145 miles an hour, which seems like too much, and there's a separate train that's headed towards Chicago from, I don't know, let's say New York at 458 miles per hour, at what point do you maybe stop and say, I should have taken a plane? Because this seems like too much.
This seems unsafe.
Seems... I didn't think this all the way through. I mean, the Hogwarts Express seems to go through, like, dimensions. So I imagine if you were looking at it, like, from a relative point in time, depending on the amount of distance actually covered, that thing is probably going way faster.
True.
Tell you one thing, Harry Potter never went through a maze with a shotgun and a bunch of dynamite. He did in fact go through a maze and it ended poorly, but he did not do so with a shotgun. which might have gone a little bit better, all things considered.
I was about to say the same thing. Maybe if he had a shotgun and dynamite, might have gone a little bit better for him.
Man, Project Warlock dude would have
The Project Warlock.
He would have been able to stop Voldemort, like, no problem. Something that I always appreciated about Voldemort was that he is, like, one of the most realistic big bads in fiction to me. Because when you get right down to it on, like, a one-on-one fight, he's kind of an underwhelming coward. And he's really only scary because he's a huge racist with, like, a bunch of people that like him.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty real.
The allegory is clear. Like, as soon as the fight comes to Voldemort, he doesn't last very long. Like, he puts up his dukes, but nah.
Nah.
And I mean, spoiler alert, I guess, for Harry Potter, but Voldemort doesn't win. Spoiler alert for the most influential book series of, like, the last, what, 20 years, probably?
Gonna be honest, I enjoy doing that.
I can tell. It's impressive how, like, it looks satisfying.
It is.
The art in this is very, and I said it before, but it's very comic booky in a way that I really appreciate. Like, it looks like you're not just going through a level of Wolfenstein, but you're also going through, like, a graphic novel. It's probably the color palette. Color palette and the shading specifically reminds me of, like, the Fables comics. I would say Walking Dead, but I don't think any of those were ever really in color except for the title pages and the covers of the books.
Yeah. There's definitely some Walking Dead here, though.
You're right.
They don't walk for very long, but they're here.
Yeah, like, unlike the show of the same name, you seem to be solving the problem and, like, doing things.
And there's actually zombies instead of not. Where'd that guy go? Did I kill him? I don't know.
No, but you don't understand. It's clever because it turns out that the humans were the Walking Dead the whole time. And then John was a Walking Dead. God, how old is that?
Very.
Like, full life consequences, like, up there with almost Zero Wing level.
Fucking
Dude,
Zero Wing.
Let me tell you something, alright? It did not hit home for me how long it's been, but I played another session of Spider-Man 2 because, like, the session that we left off at was a really bad one, and I didn't... Like, it wasn't fun. But a boss in that game starts throwing out Zero Wing quotes at you, and I'm like, oh my god.
It's been that long.
Not only was it that long, but this is 2002. Like, this would have been, like, a cool reference to have put in there. It was, like, timely at that point. Because the internet, it hadn't really hit its full stride yet.
Not yet.
You would believe that Quentin Beck, of all people, would throw out a Zero Wing reference. But, like, your average person probably playing that game? Maybe not.
Maybe not. A quality of this game that I find very endearing is the fact that it does, in fact, run on Unity.
Yeah. Unity is a good engine. I mean,
It's very versatile.
people misattribute its like overall ability because of the
And the
types of
reason for
games.
that is because it's so accessible that any schmuck or fucking idiot can try and make a game on it.
Yeah, like the ability to flip assets on just about
Mhm.
anything on any level. Like, say, the developers of Final Fantasy 15, a game surprisingly not made in Unity. Only took them more than a decade to release that game and flip assets for it. I'm just gonna sit here and drink this tea. I'm gonna point out that I am, in fact, actually drinking tea.
I am lost. I don't know where to go. If it wasn't obvious.
Well, you do have this maze. Like, it is literally a maze. Now, they say if you ever get lost in a hedge maze, that you should start turning like the same direction. You know what I mean? Like every time you
Yeah.
come to an intersection.
Hello, what have we here?
Seems to be some sort of underground laboratory. Ooh, a triple shot crossbow, huh?
Yeah?
I don't know if I would take that.
Ooh.
What's up? What do
I
we...
want this.
The Bloodthirst.
Hold on, spells also use the same currency.
How often do you use your spells?
Well, I don't even have any spells that cost mana.
The Bomberman!
Uses dynamite ammo to hurl a magic-propelled dynamite. That's just a rocket. I'm getting that.
I really want to play Bomberman. Bomberman 64, one of the first games I ever played. A game that I would describe as bad, but I like it. Or, I don't know, maybe good but unappreciated. One of those two, because I have so much trouble trying to find the difference. Soul Collector.
The castle.
I like that none of this seems pointless. Like, any one of these options seems pretty helpful to me.
Hmm.
Get psyched.
I love that. I love that it says that.
Let me see if I can do a little something here. I bet I totally can. And let's just find one of these. And Which one do I want to go with? I'm gonna say we go for... Oh, you know what? I don't have those anymore. I'm gonna have to re-download those fonts.
Damn.
But it's alright. Because I'm gonna put one of these right on top. Get psyched. Now you can't see that on your side, but
Nope.
you'll see that later in the VOD.
Maybe I should go for that Magnum upgrade.
Yeah.
Enemies are starting to get tougher.
You're what? You're like 10 levels in, give or take?
I'm a good ways in.
It seems like a pretty decent leveling curve for you to start getting things now. Something else that I appreciate is that this game seems very doable.
Yeah?
I mean, like, you could probably run through this whole thing in a sitting if you chose to. That is a quality that is lost in many games nowadays.
Hello, beautiful.
Hey, what's up? Oh, you meant the... Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's a double barrel. And you picked up a blue key. The hell, that's what I was just saying. I love it when there's... It's a video game-ass video game.
Oh, I am just loving this. Love Super Shotgun.
It's... Yeah, I mean, that is straight up your Doom 2016 right there. Yeah, SMG. Okay, I was gonna say, is that like a semi-auto pistol or something? What's going on there? This whole like low poly, lo-fi aesthetic with the newer effects kind of layered on top of it is something that I really appreciate. It's getting a lot of play these days.
The sound design is also fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And again, made by one dude, one high schooler.
Sometimes you just know what's good and you know what's up, and it happens at a young age.
That's right. And sometimes you don't. And,
And that also happens at a young age.
start streaming video games on YouTube,
Yeah?
on your twitch.tv.
True.
Yeah, look at that. That is a magic propelled rocket. And that is exactly the kind of thing that you would see Dresden do. The last book that I read had a situation in which so wizards can't deal, or like they have this field around them that complicates things, right? So when it comes to machinery or technology, the more complicated it is, the less interactable it is with a wizard. So like anytime that it comes to him having to wield some kind of a weapon, he can't wield like a P90. He has to go with either like a old school revolver or like a Winchester, right? Because the more moving parts and the more machinery you have, the more likely it is to fizzle out and just break. So there was a situation in which he had a Winchester pointed downwards, like execution style, on this floating wispy ghost type enemy who was super strong. The bullet itself would not have done enough. So instead what he does is he infuses the bullet with a little bit of his will and sends what essentially amounts to like a force field, pushing the bullet through along with the metal meat's propulsion. And that's enough to kill the bad guy. I like stuff like that.
Yeah. I hope I get a spell that does something like that. That would be cool.
The one that I'm
In
reading now.
Darkness 2, you could get magic guns. And
Yeah.
that was awesome. That game rules.
I mean, that's Punisher 2099. A series in which Frank Castle is given the ability and the assurance that, hey, you should go hunt down demons for us, because that's what you're good at, and the angels need the help. So they just give him a bunch of, like, overpowered magic arsenal guns. And he goes to town. Honestly, it's kind of similar to, like, the plot of Doom Eternal.
Yeah? Because, you know, it's like they say, Frank Castle is as Frank Castle does.
Yeah. Life is like a box of Frank Castles. You never know what you're gonna get.
Especially in the year 2099.
2099. Oh, you know what? There was a... 2099 also makes me think of the future Spider-Man, which is probably what we're gonna get with the Spider-Verse 2. I'm always interested in this. The music went very low-key, which I like. Yeah, no, I can't stress this enough. Like, even as just a commentator and somebody not playing the game, this is awesome. If this looks even slightly interesting to anybody out there, go check it out, because it looks really fun.
I always overlooked these grid art style games. Sprite pixel shooters like classic Doom and Wolfenstein. I always overlook these kinds of games because I'm like, it's outdated. But I'm having a ton of fun with this.
See, I personally tend to like that a little bit more. I have that problem with isometric RPGs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like anything that isn't XCOM, I think that isometric style just puts me off of it. Which isn't fair to a lot of games. But yeah, as far as like your more classic style arcade shooters and like Doom clones and stuff like that, I'm always down for one of those. I appreciate the, as I would put it, the more deliberate design. When things are more blocky and more, I guess, focused. Like if you
it's not quite so incidental.
Yeah. You have to work more with what you have and focus a little bit harder on the gameplay. Like the act of actually putting your hands on the controller and playing the game when everything doesn't look quite as good as you would maybe expect from a modern game. Which in turn makes it a lot easier and a lot cheaper to develop for. If a game plays well, and plays well multiple times, even after you've already beat it, that to me is the best thing a game can do. I tend to care.
I think probably the only complaint that I have is that I wish the map was more accessible. I don't think I can make a big map where I can look at it.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe
I'm not so good with that part of these kinds of games.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, when it comes to stuff like Doom especially, the idea of going through these levels multiple times to learn all of the secrets was kind of the point. Like, in Doom, the map is more of a personality and more of an enemy in a lot of cases than the actual enemies are. And in something like Wolfenstein, which this more kind of closely apes Wolfenstein, I think, the maze and confusing nature of it is more of the point.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I'm a fucking idiot. I can run around a map for hours and not know where I'm going or what I'm doing. I can just run in circles forever.
Especially if you're having fun with the game and not necessarily paying the closest of attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of it does come down to if, like, a game is... If a game like this is being intentionally obscure about things, or is being, is more clearly incentivizing you to replay it over and over again, that's often, like, the name of the game. It's like, play it over and over again until you have the map ingrained in your mind. As maze-like and as occasionally confusing as some Pokemon maps can be, I could probably close my eyes right now and just completely map out, like, the first 4 generations, no problem.
I believe it.
Man, I played those games so much. Maybe except for Mount Chimney in 4. Mount Chimney is a son of a bitch. Mount Chimney, I can get lost in even if I have a guide. Like, all of Johto, all of Kanto, all of Hoenn, pretty much all got that locked down.
I'm also really appreciating the light shafts coming in through these windows. That's a really cool effect.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
I like the fake god rays. Because it doesn't need to be a lot.
It doesn't even need to be there, but it is.
Something that I found to be true with games in general, especially as I've gotten older, is, like, looking back on my favorites, a lot of them I tend to have more fun with what my imagination brings to the table than what the actual game is. Like, coming up with my own stories or coming up with my own interpretation of what's going on typically is a lot more fun for me than even mechanics in a lot of sense. So, when it comes to games that have aged poorly, or games like this, which are intentionally aping a less detailed style, I tend to enjoy it more because it's like, your brain is filling in the gaps a lot more, but your brain has more money than any video game company ever will. Let me put it that way.
True.
Like, the graphics in my head of what Ocarina of Time looked like look better than any Zelda game ever will.
You craft another submachine gun in your workshop. Double the gun, double the fun. Double damage, too. I like that. I like that a lot.
And there's your Akimbo.
I was kind of expecting, like, maybe a Tommy gun. But that's good, too.
Yeah, I like what's going on here. Enjoy that compression being gone while it lasts.
Mm-hmm.
While we're just staring at the screen, everything looks all crisp and clear and beautiful.
Maybe even as good as it does for me. Not for long, though.
No, not for long.
The Sorcerer. Boss fight time.
Sorcerer. I kind of find it interesting because one of the things about being a warlock is that warlocks are typically not good. Like a wizard is typically what you would think of as your Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White. And a warlock is what you might consider more to be your Saruman or your... well, this guy right here.
And along those lines, I think that the quality of a warlock has more to do with the type of magic that you do.
Yes.
Because some types of magic certainly corrupt.
If you use magic that goes against the laws of magic, then yes. If what you're doing is like intentionally causing harm, like destruction magic is one thing. You can toss a fireball at like a pillar and crush it to get past an obstacle. But if you're like trapping people in soul gems or engaging in necromancy or like...
And that's kind of it. Like, necromancy is the big one. Necromancy is the one that people don't like. That if you do that, you are usually not a good person. Ooh, look at all those points.
Necromancy, hypnosis, and like time manipulation are typically the big bad ones.
Mm-hmm. Anything that might be considered by the traditional sense of playing God. Usually those are the big ones.
If your magic engages in hubris, then yeah, you're probably... Yeah.
Probably a bad guy.
A warlock is typically the kind of thing that you would kill in a D&D session.
Because usually, I would say by most tokens, a warlock is a magic user that engages in pacts with demons.
Yeah, well...
That's the more traditional interpretation of a warlock. You emerge victorious after slaughtering Hell's defenses within the medieval castle. The fortress, constructed from ancient stone atop a cursed hill, is now under your control. Your plans to eradicate evil have suddenly begun to pick up pace. The new powers you have acquired fill your soul with optimism. Onward, you're one step closer to eradicating the root of all evil, the Lord of Hell himself.
How do you like that?
I do. A lot.
Another more, like, if we're gonna go as universally applicable as possible, a wizard is an Obi-Wan or a Yoda, and a warlock is an Anakin Skywalker. Or a Darth
Yeah, that's a
Vader.
fair assessment.
A wizard what went bad. Storm Rage, huh? Is that the one that makes you, like, really racist?
Oh. I believe that's Stormfront.
Stormfront, also the name of the first book in the Dresden Files series.
Oh. Dynamite is now a frag grenade. I'm good with the dynamite, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having fun with it, it seems to be working for you.
I don't think it needs more power yet, anyway.
Press interaction. Yeah, where's my interaction button on my keyboard? I've got Q, W, oh, there it is. Interaction, and then RTY.
Yeah.
I actually kind of want to
Antarctica,
get, like,
polar tundra.
I kind of want to get, like a custom printed E key that just says interaction in, like, super small print.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting a bit Lovecraftian with this one, because we're going to Antarctica, and the final boss stage is the Great Old One.
There you go.
I hope we get all new enemies, too.
Maybe.
Ooh, look at this.
I like that your previews for these levels are the rogue gallery. I like that effect on the ice.
Oh, the treasure is bundles of dollar bills now. Oh, it's a Yeti.
And they're throwing projectile weapons this time. I mean, they were before too, but now it's like...
Now they're weapons instead of spells.
Yeah. Which is also very...
Something I'm a huge fan of is when you change levels in the game and, like, the whole design font changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, health pickups go from being vials to crystals. Treasure goes from being gems and bags of gold to stacks of money. I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Barrels turn into crates.
If you do it well, it shows, like, really good signposting on the part of the developer.
Mm-hmm.
And it also allows for more creativity on the side of the art direction. I'm always down for more of that. Kids, if you're out there listening to this, be creative. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't be creative. Make a game about warlocks. Who's gonna stop you?
Warlocks and projects of them. And Yetis.
The only person that's gonna stop you is yourself. And a Yeti. But you can probably beat a Yeti.
Yeah, especially if you have a double barrel. Don't worry about it.
Honestly, just lead it to somewhere that's like not its own turf and you'll probably be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yetis are like big gorillas that can't really deal with warm weather.
It's true.
You know how polar bears have like technically clear fur and it's their skin that's white?
I don't know if that's how it works. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
I don't claim to be a polar bear expert.
I claim to be a polar bear expert. And my knowledge on the subject is that the fur of a polar bear is typically clear. Like so fine that it is in fact clear. And that their hide is what is their hide is the actual color that you see. I wonder if it's the same for a Yeti.
Who knows?
Because we've seen, like, abominable snowmen and stuff like that who have, like, leathery blue skin, typically. And then have, like, white fur on top of it. But these guys don't seem to have that. This ain't Monsters Incorporated. Although, if somebody were to be interested in making a mod of this game in which it was Monsters Incorporated, I would be very interested in playing that.
Oh, there's the shotgun in case you missed it the first time. I also want to reiterate the fact that I love this game's soundtrack.
I agree with you.
Switches to go, 8. Wow, this is a fucking level and a half. Okay.
I tell you what, I might have to shut this down on account of a thunderstorm being hurricane season. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah. If you can hold out until we finish this level, sure.
I will do my best. So yeah, for those of you out there wondering why we've had all these issues lately, because natively a lot of this gets streamed from Florida, which as of right now is in the middle of hurricane season, which means storms all of the time that can destroy equipment.
Don't you have a surge protector as part of your setup?
I mean, our home has a surge protector, but there's only so much that you can do with, there's only so much that you can do with, like, a generator exploding, which is what usually happens. we had our the stream does not know this. You know this, but we recently had to get a new television because the television that we have out in the main room blew up and stopped working because of a lightning storm, which was a whole lot of fun. I am often, I would say, bitter in my attitudes towards Florida, and this will continue.
Bitterness will continue until morale improves.
Bitterness will continue until locale improves.
Well said. Oh, that is a nice effect on the ice.
I'm saying, it looks awesome. I feel like you would really enjoy Turok.
Yeah, it's possible.
Despite the fact that it is an older game, it is, I'm going to say it's right up your alley.
Something I would also like to point out as this is going on is the level has also changed. Like, the level design has changed. The level... Okay, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. The visual style of the level has changed. The layouts have also changed. This is far more open than the last level.
Yeah, instead of a shooting gallery in which you find your way to the end, it has now become a hit the switches to progress type level.
And not just that, but instead of being corridors, it's now much more open.
It's a little hub.
And you get a bit more access to the sky than you did before.
There is a courtyard. A courtyard.
I would very much describe that as a courtyard, yeah.
A foyer. I feel like you've got to be headed in the right direction at some point.
Sequence complete. Now what's that done for me?
There it goes. Maybe you now have to hit the switches in a different sequence.
No, I don't think so.
Did it just open a new area in which to find more?
I think it just opened a new area.
Because when I think sequence, I usually think of, you know, an order.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, yeah, he was just waiting for you there.
He got what he was waiting for.
Kurt Russell in The Thing was waiting for you there.
Okay, that's the end of that level.